Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check the newest addition to Total War, Astaroth. But before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So Astaroth is the newest bot added into Total War, and she's very different from Edwin. Previously, the goal or the strategy that players wanted to achieve, to do, is to craft a thing that deals an insane amount of damage, and just by doing their skills, they constantly break the super armor of the enemy, turning Edwin into a punching bag, so that you can have a really good score. Astaroth is going to be very, very different from that. Number one, she's not a demon, she's a human, which means that you have to craft your Magatemes and prepare your build. You need to do, or well, you are incentivized to do perfect Magatemes for all traits so that you are prepared for these kind of shifts in the meta and content. So if you don't have those Magatemes, start working on them. Then, Astaroth, similar to Edwin, has immunity to mind control and slow. But on top of that, she has unbreakable super armor, which means she's not going to be interrupted. Not by stuns, not by breaking the super armor, because we can't. We're not going to be using that Aska or anything like that. So, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And that also means that the runs are going to be very inconsistent. As you can see by looking at the scores over here, the difference between the runs is substantial. Which means that we have to make the most and retry this time and again in order to get a good score. Then, the second stage effect says, increase damage taken from ranged attacks per debuff inflicted. All duration of debuffs on the boss Astaroth increased by 2 seconds. So, to compensate for the lack of consistency, they're giving us a specific mechanic that is going to allow us to increase damage as much as possible. The thing is that some characters cannot take advantage of this, and we'll see that later in the video. Lastly, when hit by melee attacks, decreases damage taken from melee attacks max 10 stacks. Yeah, that means that you don't want to do melee builds. Your melee characters are basically going to be the supporters now. The Momochi weapon users, the supporters holders, as usual. Now, let's get to the build. For that, we're going to go to the normal ranking. As you can see, this is the highest score, almost 1 billion, I think. Yeah. So, the main damage dealer is going to be Sora. Sora is very particular because he has a range, auto-tracking, attack. Those are extremely valuable over here because they'll allow you to continue your combo chain and use Hisui. She's going to use the Renewal weapon to apply debuff and to gain damage and such. Obviously, she's going to be using White Snake Lang to increase damage tremendously because of the amount of hits that she can deal, and Melt over here to increase damage by the number of buffs that we apply, and also Flare of Grudge. This is another important skill. Counters and Perfect Dodge skills are going to be very, very useful because since we don't interrupt Astaroth, the enemy is going to cast different attacks and we can just activate our Perfect Dodge or counters when they do so. And this one in particular is also a buff that benefits Melt, so that's something. Then, over here we have Chizuru. Chizuru is the Momochi weapon user. She has a red build, so she goes Rose Rondo, Whip Shot, and Whip Grit to reduce the defense of the enemy. And Plant Wall over here has the Seed Bomb attack. Unique debuffs are extremely valuable over here. I mean, of course, the defense reduction are as valuable as they have always been. But this Seed Bomb is very good because you're applying another debuff onto Astaroth, which is going to increase the damage it takes. It's like another stack of defense down. Think it that way. And that goes for any kind of debuff that you apply. Then we have the supporters. Over here we have Indomitable Fuma Tokiko, which increases damage dealt with normal attacks. Sure. For the character that has this equipped, it has an increased damage dealt by ally characters' range attacks of 10%. We can change this actually for Asagi, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. We have Kichi Asusa because she has the critical resistance down debuff, and Kara Cromwell to have the critical damage up. So if you don't want to use Indomitable Fuba Tokiko, you can use Asagi, Flower of 20 Years Asagi, because she also gives penetration to the party, and so is human, and increases damage dealt to all enemies by 24% and an additional 5% for every 20 combos for 10 seconds up to 5 stacks. Yeah, honestly, I think that Asagi is going to be better in the long run. That maybe not. We'll have to wait and see how the builds evolve. And well, yeah, that's Shizuru. For Urehara Rin over here, they're using her on the blue build. Obviously, it's going to be the combo Mirabelle Haru to have a super buff, and then Worshipper Lapis. Some would use Kichi Asusa, but Worshipper Lapis is better since she applies a debuff, and that debuff is defense down, but it acts like a double defense down because of the stages condition. Then, for the weapon, of course, Narukami, so that you gain more buffs for Sora, and she can use Melt. Then, Volt Spin to apply Electrocute, another unique buff that works as a defense down. Denki over here is very important, because that gives you immunity, or well, super armor against range attacks, which Astaroth is a range attacker. You're not gonna get interrupted with Rin if you use this. Volt Hook is another very useful skill, since it will allow you to keep the enemy near you. It's just a grab. And then we have Electric Volt that deals a ton of multi-hits, and that's going to be very useful for gathering Heavenly Strike stacks. Now, let me check. I have a list over here with the next topic. Oh yeah, enemy behavior. Let's do a run. I'm just going to... I cannot take it off. Okay, let's do a run with this. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to record the score. It is just so that we can see how the enemy moves. You're gonna notice that Astaroth moves a lot. Like, not right now, but she has the ability to teleport. And this volcano that she creates, that attack twice, it's very, very annoying because it can knock you up into the air, and then it interrupts your combo chain. That's why counter and perfect dodge skills are very useful against this boss. Not only that, the meteor. Yeah, the meteor is coming. The meteor applies Ensnare. I don't think that's a good idea. Because when she uses the meteor, it ensnares you, and then she teleports. It is very difficult to keep your stacks, your combo stacks, if she's out of range. Then, on top of that, she can summon Bonnie, she can do the Floris Lava move, you know. But basically there's three things that you have to be worried about. The Ensnare that comes with the meteor, the volcano-like effect that comes from the ground that knocks you up, and the teleport that she does, which puts a lot of distance between you and the target. That's the only thing that you have to worry about. Everything else, yeah, it deals damage, but it doesn't really matter that much. Now, let's check the next topic. Oh yeah, let's talk about the team compositions, like what you should be building, what you should be doing, and the objective. Let's start with the easy one, the formation. For the formation, You are always going to use They Are Mad, I tell you, Themes Fighting Ninja, and the third or fourth formation depends. For example, you can use for a demon team making a splash. Sure, you can use the classic color critical skills. Where are they? This one, and the one I have equipped. Those three are going to give you a lot of damage for your color teams. And well, that's basically the ones I would use in most situations. In an emergency, you can just put X Nisha 8s. But yeah, those are the formations that you want to use. For compositions, for supporters. So, things haven't changed that much. You always have to have a Momochi weapon user. And if you have another character with a weapon that can provide some benefit, some unique debuff, that's also very, very useful. I don't have anyone over here that can provide a unique debuff. But let's go with Sakura, for example. I didn't use Sakura this way. Where is Sakura? I haven't used Sakura. Have I not? I don't see oh yeah, I remember now. She should be here. Yeah, she has the demonic skin. I forgot about that. So Sakura, for example, has the Unabara, which applies a debuff onto the enemy. If the renewal weapons or any unique weapons that a character has the ability to apply a debuff, it's worth using. And the other character can use the Momochi weapon for the teams that you craft. Talking about supporters. So on blue, of course, we're going to be using this. This is the only composition of blue that you should be using. Why not something else? So we don't have that many things that are going to apply a debuff and provide damage increase for the party. That's the thing. Of course, this combo, Mirabelle Harrow, is the best. But other than that, what do we usually use? Kichi Asusa, because it provides penetration, that's good. But the problem is that she doesn't apply a debuff. And Worshipper Lapis does apply a debuff. That's why we use that one. And that's it. We don't have that many other options that would benefit the whole team. Then on red, we have Kara, we have Kirara, we have Spinel. Spinel has increased her proficiency against Astaroth. Honestly, it's pretty good because the because the bind is a form of slow. I wish that bind was like a different form of mind control. It's unique debuff, but no, we cannot apply this debuff. So even so, it's still a good support to use. Let's see, what else do we have? We have Rini for the machine teams. We have Akiyama Rinko. No, Akiyama Rinko has dropped in useless because we cannot break the super armor. So that's something to take into consideration. Kichi Asusa always going to be useful because, as I mentioned, any kind of debuff is going to work as a defense down. So critical resistance is not a very common debuff. Let's see. Flower of 20 Years Asagi is also pretty good. Fumatokiko, Asuka, and so on and so on. Honestly, those are it. And of course, Melt. Why not? We can use Melt. Then on green. So green, of course, we're using the Hisui supporter, the Kaoru, and Akane. And that's about it. We try not to go supportive green, but if you have to, Shinmora is there, and that's it. We have Shinmora, and that's the thing. Yeah, because the enemy doesn't have buffs that we have to strip away, and we don't have that many supportive options on green that are going to work out tremendously. Because if it doesn't apply a debuff onto the enemy, it's not as useful. Like Lina used to be very good. She's still very good. And the same can be said about Lan. But again, these two do not apply debuffs. That's why we don't use them. Now, let's do let's check someone like Shisui. One of the big problems that we have right now with team building is that there are many selfish attackers that do not have ways to apply debuffs. Hisui, what does she have? Okay, damage, reduce the speed of the enemy. Well, she's immune to that kind of debuff. Okay, perform additional attack. Nothing. Decreases skill cooldown. Nothing. Reduce the speed of the enemy. Okay. Increases, decreases. Just HP recovery effects. Decrease the enemy's defense by 20%. Ooh, she has one debuff that it can deal to the enemy, but it's on a green build, and we want our supporters to go either blue or red. Yeah, you can see the problem. There's a handful of characters like Hisui, which are basically main attackers, but since they are going to act as supporters, they want to apply debuffs. But the only debuff that they might have is going to be a slow, which it's not that great. Or maybe they do have some debuff, but it's on green, which isn't the best color for the builds right now for a supporter. So yeah, that's the issue that we have right now. Team building is not as easy as it used to be. But well, here are some teams. I'm gonna be sharing my teams like later. I need to keep practicing and improving my score. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. Let's see the next part. Yeah, my thoughts and opinions about this boss. Well, I like what they're doing here because there's an intention on why they did everything, but there are some mistakes they committed while crafting this boss. So let's start with the most important one, the super armor, the unbreakable super armor. This was made so that we drop Hisui, because if we lose the combo chain, we have to repeat the ROM time and again just to do the combo chain properly. For the sake of consistency, they want us to drop Hisui in order to use different supporters and just have different strategies. Unfortunately, it just yields better results to fish for the right RNG and keep using Hisui. Which, if they want us to drop Hisui, just make another boss that constantly, like every 2 seconds, removes the buffs that we apply onto the characters, but in exchange has some form of perma debuff, demerit, or something else that we can abuse if they want us to drop Hisui, because this is not the way. We are still going to be using Hisui. So that's one thing. Now, I think that the fact that Astaroth will always be attacking and she is going to be always moving, it's okay. It's okay. I don't care that much about that part. The issue I have with that is the fact that her meteor applies ensnare. It's not healthy for her to, well, for the players and for anyone, that she applies ensnare, being a ranged attacker that can teleport, and you can just lose your combo chain. That's why it's very, very bad that she applies ensnare. I would delete that particular effect on her skill. I would give her a slow or more damage into the meter or whatever you want, but not that. You don't want to just remove the ability of players to move around and chase Astaroth. Another thing that I would adjust on this boss is her immunity to slow. I would make it so that she has reduced effectiveness of slow, so that she has the debuff, but isn't slowed as much. Like reduce the effectiveness of slow by 99%, but the duration of the debuff is there, and the debuff is there so that we can take advantage of this damage taken increase onto the enemy. Particularly because, as I mentioned, there are some characters which are main attackers and they do have some debuff forms, but the best thing that they can do is just, well, do nothing in this particular case because Astaroth is slow immune. And, well, yeah, another thing that I have to mention before I finish, it is very, very important on your team building that you use, like this character is a good example, not particularly good, but useful. It's very, very important that you use skills that auto attack, dodge skills that auto attack. That's going to allow you to keep your combo stack, and it's going to give you very good results. So, yeah, this is a very interesting boss. I like what they're trying to do. There are some mistakes on their draft, I can tell you that, but I'm sure that they can fix the ensnare by just applying a patch. But what do you think about this? Is this too difficult? Is it unbearable? Is it too much RNG? Are you dropping Hisui just to use other strategies that give you a more consistent run? Let me know in the comments, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!